Class of 2019, it is an honor for me, Oxley United, to be speaking in front of you today. As I look into the crowd, I see a bunch of young, great minds that are destined for greatness and being happy with themselves, or where they're at. Me personally, I'm happy. I'm a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army, and I got to where I wanted to be. However, this doesn't stop. When I look at you, going back to thinking of the great minds, I think of Aristotle. Who is he? I think all of you know who he is, but he's one of the greatest thinkers of all time, specifically in philosophy, sociology, and ethics. One quote that he said that resembles to me much, which could reflect on you, is, "It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light." This quote affected me so much because it makes me think of my journey through college, how I'd always be sleep deprived, staying up past midnight to work on assignments, as well as possibly being mentally broken down, stressed out ever. But this didn't stop me from pursuing my dream of what I wanted to do with the Army. So which brings me to my first point. I always would put more on my schedule than I want to have, but that didn't stop me from getting my work done. For my Army ROTC, I'd always wake up every morning at 5:20 in the morning, report to the field house at 6 o'clock, and conduct our PT, our physical training, to stay fit for the Army standards. I'd get back to my room around 8 o'clock, and then I'd have an hour to do what I need to do to get ready for class, which I mostly study to keep my mind active, but I promise a shower was in there. Afterward, after classes, I'd have a short break, not really short, but 3 hours, which isn't a short break, to go eat a big meal, work out again, and take a short nap. Homework and assignments would always start for me around 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock was the number, no earlier, no later, because I needed my extra sleep from waking up early, as well as I didn't want to start later, so I'd have to stay up later. 3 o'clock was the time to past 12, and I'd always take small breaks in there because that just felt like the safe number for me, and it was the same pattern I'd go through, and I was used to it at that point. With always staying up past midnight, it affects me pretty hard being sleep deprived. So time felt like it was an endless game. It was a game that I didn't want to be a part of, but I knew I had to just play the game. Amy Brand once said, "Sleep deprivation, no matter how acute the number, has a negative effect on the human body and cognitive function." Her quote resembles to me because I was being broken down a little bit. I was always tired. I looked like a walking zombie. And whenever I'd see my friends, they'd notice how I was a walking zombie with the bags under my eyes. And they'd say, "A rough night again," and I'd always tell them I'm ready to fall asleep at any moment, even though I knew I couldn't. So with the lack of sleep, this affects me more than ever. I felt like I was always stressed out, as well as mentally broken down. And what do I mean by that? I mean that I was more defensive and just stressed as a normal person would be. Assignments always felt like they were packing up on me. It felt like they were going through the roof. All the harder classes I took seemed double the work, and this just caused my stress to go up so much to the point that I didn't know how to live a healthy life at a certain point of the year, as well as maintain my free time to be social. Also being more stressed than ever kind of made me a little more defensive towards my closest friends. How I joked them, they would joke with me after I told them I had to go work, and they'd say, "Would they ever see me again?" And I'd have to make a smart remark back, or a little defensive remark. This caused them, maybe me not to see them as much as I'd like to, but then in the end, I'm still keeping close contact with them as always. In this whole endless journey of all these negative effects, a positive outcome came my way, just like Aristotle's quote had said. So with all the negatives of being sleep deprived, staying up constantly past midnight, as well as possibly being mentally broken down, in my personal opinion at least, I'm happy to where I'm at today. Again, I'm a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army, specializing in the branch of field artillery, and I get to continue to do what I'd like to do and study for a college. So one thing I want to ask you all, that I look into the crowd and think to myself, are you guys happy? Do you guys want to make your dreams come true by going through the hard work, or are you just going to slack it off and say, "Hey, I'll do something else that's not as hard and maybe I'll get through it"? It's just a question for you to think about. But I know when I was asked that question, I pushed through it like what I thought Aristotle's quote said, and I'm living happy. Thank you, class of 2019, or 2019.